Howdy YouTube, France Hopper here. It's Saturday the 24th of October and we have an unboxing today. Today we are unboxing the brand new Roku 4, which is the first Roku to do 4K, probably hence the number 4, or it just could be a lucky coincidence. Either way, this is a very different box for Roku. This is my 6th Roku I've owned, I think. Let's see, 2 XDs, a 3, 2 streaming 6. Yeah, this is number 6. And usually the Roku boxes are full of color. They're usually very bright. In fact, for comparison, here's what a streaming stick box looks like. Very vibrant colors. And the 3, which is behind the 4, and I don't have the box for anymore, was a very bright, I think that guy was either red or purple. Either way, this is very different. And as it says, you know, the future of streaming is here. As far as I know, this is the first 4K streaming box. I know Sony's got some 4K box thing. I don't know what the heck it does, but anyway, this is what the top of the Roku 4 looks like. So really, the only thing that I would say really makes it signature Roku, besides the Roku, is the fact that it's got a shit ton of channels. On the side, here's the specs. So the 4 is included. The new remote with microphone is also included, as well as the wireless listening. The 3 came with all of that except for the voice control originally. And what you need, there's still no HDMI cable included. This does work with a 1080p TV, which is good because I don't actually have 4K yet, so this is kind of for the future. Yeah, and obviously what you should know, if you want 4K, you need a 4K display. On the side, you know, the setup of Roku really hasn't changed much. You plug it in, you connect to the internet, you pair it with your account, so you do need a computer, or I guess even a phone nowadays, to complete the initial setup. And then there's the back, which just lists some of the specs that this thing can do. Differences between the 4 and the 3, as far as I know, besides 4K being the obvious one, I think this might have 802.11ac in it. I'm not 100% sure on that, and it should, in theory, be faster than the 3 because it's got a lot more power behind it in order to make it do the 4K. Other than that, not really any difference between the 4 and the 3. The 4 also has a very handy remote finder feature, which will be interesting to play with because that might mean that the remote also has a speaker in it now. Yeah, I mean, when I got the 3, it did not have the voice search capabilities. That came later in a later update, and there was a new remote for that. So for me, this is the first one that I've got with voice control. Anyway, this also beat the Apple TV 4 to market, which was announced before this. So my sources are telling me we're going to be seeing the Apple TV 4 next week, potentially as early as Monday. And if that's the case, stay tuned to next week because we will be unboxing an Apple TV 4 as well. As to why I have an Apple TV and a Roku, there are still things that, you know, one does better than the other. Content being one of them. The Apple TV does still have some content that's not on Roku, and vice versa. Roku has a ton of content that is not on the Apple TV. We'll see how much that changes with the App Store and tvOS for the Apple TV 4. I also do have to say, this is probably the best sealed Roku box I've ever had to deal with. Yeah, those were on there pretty tight. So, let's flip it over and give it a slight shake here. Ta-da! Holy crap, that is huge. Wow. I was not expecting it to be that big. That is gigantic. For size comparison, there's the 3. This is huge in comparison, and it's certainly bigger than the Apple TV. But if we lift it up, it's still pretty thin. So, while it's certainly... Well, that's as big as my mouse pad. That's big. Yeah, it's big, but thin. And part of that probably is because it is 4K. You know, 4K really requires a lot of power. So, while that certainly comes as a surprise, I mean, this is almost the equivalent of 4 3s in size. Oh well, what can you do? So, yeah, that's the front. This is the remote locator button right there, which has got a nice click to it. On the back, we have pretty typical for Roku. You've got your Ethernet, optical, HDMI, micro SD, and power. If you're definitely doing 4K streaming, I would absolutely recommend Ethernet. I would certainly not do Wi-Fi for that, and honestly, I don't even know if you can do that. Reset is apparently a tiny little button on the bottom here now. That's an interesting change. Other than that, some pretty big griddles here for ventilation. So, if we quickly remove the sticky stuff on it, you know, if this was still using infrared for the remote, well, it would have one heck of an IR receiver in it. And this is very well sticky on it. Oh, and I forgot that the side does also have a USB port, so you can play most of your own media on here just by hooking up a USB device to it. The micro SD is used for saving additional channels when you run out of space on the internal storage. Although, I say that in that the way that a Roku works is if you run out of space for a channel, the Roku will just kind of uninstall channels that you don't frequently use, but then when you go to use them again, it'll just reload it. So if we set the 4 aside, let's see what we have underneath here. And another change that I see is the greeting that you get is very different. This is the first Roku that I've seen that does not have "this is going to be fun," which, since the 2, was kind of a trademark phrase for Roku, so that's another surprise there. With that being said, this looks like it's the manual. And here, let's see. Ooh, new, looks like slightly newer headphones for the 4. It's got a nice black cable now. I wonder if that means that the sound is any better on here than it was with the 3's headphones, which honestly I never really used because I had better headphones that just plugged into my TV. Anyway, still takes 2 AA batteries. It's not a rechargeable battery like the remote for the Apple TV 4 will be, but that's fine. I have a crap ton of Amazon rechargeable batteries. For being so big, the power brick isn't too much larger. It's certainly a lot easier now to tell which power brick goes to my Roku, because this is the first that I've seen where Roku is actually on the side. Usually it's just down here in the legal stuff, so that is a nice change. This is interesting. It looks like this plug could theoretically slide off, but I certainly don't feel an easy way to do that. Let's see, voltage-wise, this is 100 to 120 volts. So, I think this is a different power brick than the 3, which is unfortunate because that means I will have to be going under my desk to unplug the 3 and plug the 4 in because I'm replacing the 3 with the 4. Here's what the remote looks like. This is the enhanced remote with the wireless listening, and there you have it. That is probably the speaker down there for the remote finder. Yep, because there's a tiny little pinhole here for the microphone. And wow, Roku really has got some good sticky stuff for everything on the 4. They really don't want any of this getting scratched up. So there is the remote. This is pretty light. Granted, there's no batteries in here right now. Looks like there might actually be 2 mics. I think there's one here, which is probably the one you talk into, and that's probably a noise-canceling one there. Here are the volume rockers for the wireless listening, which is still on the side. This has got a nice kind of textured bottom to it. A/B buttons have lost their color. There is no blinky light on this one like the 3 does. In fact, let's make this easy. Here's the original 3 remote. This one does not have the microphone in it. There's the 4. So it looks to be about the same thickness, maybe slightly smaller. No wrist strap this time around, which is fine because I never used this stupid thing. Granted, I never did any games on my Roku. The buttons are certainly much more flush than on the 3, but the rest of them seem to click just fine. One thing I'm not a huge fan of, the shortcut buttons. I mean, if I could reassign them, the only one that I would ever use is Amazon, and that's one of the first things in my grid anyway. So yeah, rounded remote, hooray. So I'm going to plug this in, and I'll show you what setting this thing up looks like. I figure it's going to be pretty close to what it looked like setting up a 2 and a 3. I think the 4 does have a new Roku OS. I think we're on like version 7 now, so I don't know if it looks any different, but we'll find out pretty soon. Be right back. Alright, so long as I don't drop the power cord in the process of plugging it in, let's go ahead and plug this in for the first time and see what we get. Looks like a very faint white light now. There we go. So it seems to be automatically pairing the remote, in theory. There we go. Alright, so I think this is the first setup I've done with the new interface, so slightly different from what I'm used to. The splash screen did appear to be the same startup as the 3, so it looks like there was no change between turning on a 3 and a 4. Let's go with English, and I'm going to be using Wi-Fi for this for now, since again I don't have a 4K display. This should do just fine with my Wi-Fi. One thing I am looking forward to with the Apple TV 4 is simply tapping my phone to do all of the setup. But setting up Roku is pretty simple, so long as this will join my Wi-Fi on the first try. historically it has been pretty good, and it looks like, yeah, it is still going to connect on the first try. So we're going to get a day 1 update here. And my router sees that it has in fact joined successfully. If you hear the jackhammer in the background, that's been going on since about 7 a.m. today. PSU's destroying an old sky bridge to make way for a new building. One thing I'm already seeing with the Roku 4 is its light is much darker than before. So I don't know if the Roku and my TV just aren't doing the HDMI handshake quickly enough, but usually, or at least on the 3, everybody would fly in, and Roku kind of showed off with that start screen. So let's set our time zone. I am in Pacific now. Let's have it figure out the display. Yes, it is an HD 1080. Wish I had a 4K, but I don't. I don't even have room for 4K, I think. So, now we get to do the pairing. And it says from your PC, phone, or tablet, so I'm going to whip out my iPhone here and see if you can, in fact, link this via a phone now. So if you've ever owned a Roku before, this should be pretty simple. You go to the website, sign in with your account, and link it. And apparently my Amazon batteries need to be recharged already. Nice that you get a battery indicator now for the first time. So let's link my Roku. VRQ6 submit. So if this is your first Roku, if the 4 is going to be your first Roku, I would recommend setting up a Roku account first, because that'll make this process go a lot quicker. Otherwise, you're going to have to sign up for an account anyway. So go to owner.roku.com, and there you can create an account. So on my phone, it's just giving me a end-licer agreement, because I forgot to check off a checkbox. Agree. I have an account already. So this should be, according to the dots, a 5-step process if Chrome decides to not crash. So since Chrome decided to crash, we get to start over from the very beginning. Still have an account. Let's start the... you are a piece of crap. Okay, now we get to try Safari. And if Safari doesn't work, then I've got to go up to one of the computers to do this. Actually, you know what? Safari's just so terrible, screw it. We'll set this up from the PC. And by PC I mean Mac. So, I guess I can kind of show you the setup process instead from a computer. So, link code VRQ6 go. I agree. And again, have an account. Do I remember my Roku password? Because it's been a while. Let's see. I do. So, that's at least convenient. So, by having an account already, I get to skip ahead a couple steps. So we're on step 4 instead. You can see that. So this is some suggestions of channels to add. Sling I don't have, so we're going to remove that. HBO Now I've got Go, so I'll remove that. I will get the actual showtime this time around. MGO is built in, and since this is a 4K one, there's a 4K spotlight. I'll install that too. Why not? Let's go ahead and install CBS All Access. Music I think I'll skip. Don't have any of that stuff. Sports I don't really care about. Actually, let's get Nat Geo TV, see if Verizon supports that. Miscellaneous stuff. Tetris supposedly is free, so let's go ahead and add that. Oh my god, Real Player is still around. That's kind of scary to see. Let's continue. And there we go. Let's just link to my Amazon account. That's handy. So the Roku now, as I am still setting it up, is automatically installing some stuff with the classic sense of Roku humor. So while it's setting up, we have some advertising and offers that we can do. So let's see what offers we have. Why not? Shitflix for 30 days. Amazon I already have. I have a gem downstairs. Wonder Archive I'll skip. Cirrus I've already got. Plex, not thrilled with how they've gone. Showtime I already have. And Sling. Well, skipping all of that. So, as this is maximizing the fun factor with the incredibly boring circular thing, now we get to sit and wait. But aside from the fact of having to switch from phone to the computer, pretty painless setup so far. Which is exactly what I would expect from Roku, this being their 4th flagship player. The 2 came in so many varieties, I don't even remember what they were now. So I think it's just been simplified now to the Roku 2, the 3, the streaming stick, and of course the 4, which is installing Netflix even though I did not want it. This is where in post-production we'll make the jump to light speed right about now. Alright, so we're finally on the last channel to install, and that was so painfully long that while I actually recorded it to get the timing, all you got to see was a dissolve for warp speed instead of going at probably 20x speed in Final Cut. As we do finally wait for Tetris to install here, obviously this whole process will go a lot faster if you don't have 154 channels to install, and no doubt it would be faster if you were on Ethernet as well rather than the Wi-Fi that I'm on. But it looks like Tetris is kind of big, space-wise, which doesn't surprise me, being a game. The games typically are the larger channels on Roku. And so if you have a lot of games, I would absolutely recommend investing in a micro SD card. If you just have a ton of channels like I do, you can probably get away with not having one. Granted, of course, I haven't played around with the 4 to see how often I have to reload channels, because I don't know what the internal storage on the 4 is like compared to the 3, but given that it is a 4K, box, I would hope that all of its internal specs are just simply better than those of the 3. So, we are finally all done, and the Roku mobile app is certainly a very nice app to have. It just got a very nice update, but since I do finally have a remote that has voice control in it, I don't know that I'll be using it so much. So, yeah, here's what it looks like now that we're all done here. This is the same grid that I'm used to on the 3, so I don't think there's any difference there. My feed is exactly what I expected. The MGO built in, news, search, which I can finally do via voice, settings, doesn't really look like anything is new on here immediately. Oh, we can do the find remote setup. I guess it is slightly different. Oh, how fancy. You can change the remote sounds. So, alright, well, let's see what we have with sonar. So sure enough, that it in back there, come on, next 5. That is the speaker there and back for the remote. So let's play around and see what else we've got. Let's try, well, there's whistle. Now I think Roku had a little bit of fun. I think I'll go with that. Perfect. So if I needed a pair remote, that's how you would do it. The battery level, 45 apparently was low at one point. But cool. So if we play around with the find remote button, even though the remote is going to be right there and on my desk in a pretty obvious location, let's push the remote finder, which does not work. Well, I don't know if it's because we're in settings on the remote finder screen, or if it's because it sees, hey, the remote's right there, stupid. That was kind of a big thing that Roku was promoting with the 4, and it doesn't work. That epic fail. Well, if we dismiss that, other than that, audio looks like what it's been. The home screen has been what it's been. We'll get rid of the MGO stuff that I'll never use. News is exactly what we've had about. This is pretty much what I'm used to. Control other devices. That is actually different from what I've seen. Tell sync device to unbound. Yeah, alright, well, let's play around with those. Language, exactly what it's been. Oh, you can now auto power off the Roku, apparently. So, we'll certainly turn that on. Everything else looks as it's been. Let's see if we have any new themes here. Nope, everything looks like as it has been. So let's see how quickly we can change themes here. There we go. It looks like ooh, slightly newer background for Nebula, probably to really show off with 4K. Screensaver is what I would expect. Ooh, if I had a 4K TV, could show off with a 4K background. This is also new. Let's see what we've got here. Now that's incredibly faint to the point that I don't think my TV even realizes that it's getting anything coming out. So we'll stick with Fun Saver if it is still on here. There we go. Wait time, 10 minutes looks good. So, there you have it. That is the Roku 4. It's pretty much the same as a 3. Yeah, really not too much of a difference with regards to what the interface looks like. The size of the player is, of course, ginormous compared to the 3. The remote, I think this is what newer 3s come with now, the enhanced remote with voice control. Of course, this does have a speaker in it for the remote finder. But other than that, everything about here looks the same. Let's see what I can do with voice control. Crunchyroll. Well, I guess you can't launch a channel from voice control, which is unfortunate. Oh well, there you have it. That is the Roku 4. Stay tuned, hopefully next week, for the Apple TV 4. But for now, that is it.